They say a woman can hide her feelings, but her body always tells the truth. And here's the secret. A woman who hasn't been with a man in a long time doesn't need to announce it. You'll see it in her eyes, in her laugh, in the way she lingers just a little too long. The signals are quiet, but they're there. The real danger isn't missing them, it's misreading them. That's where most men fail. So today I'll show you 7 subtle signs a woman hasn't slept with a man in a long time, and how you can recognize them without ever crossing the line. But before we dive in, do me a small favor. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and tell me in the comments, have you ever sensed a woman was dropping hints, but you weren't sure? Just type yes or no. You'll realize quickly you're not alone in that confusion. Now let's begin. Sign 1, restless body language. Spend a little time with her and you'll notice something feels charged, not in a loud or obvious way, but in the tiny restless cues that slip out when she's around you. She touches her hair more than usual, adjusts her clothes when they don't need adjusting, plays with her necklace, bites her lip, or maybe her gaze locks on you longer than normal before darting away. These are not random. They're the body's way of releasing built-up tension that words can't carry. Now here's where men usually screw up. They see one signal and jump to conclusions. A single hair flip, maybe she's just fixing it. A lip bite, could be nerves. The truth lies in the pattern. When these gestures repeat, when she leans into your space more than once, when her foot points toward you without her even knowing, that's her body leaking desire it's been holding back. But don't play detective with a notebook in your head, counting every flick of her hair like a schoolboy tallying points. That kills the connection. The goal isn't to decode every twitch, it's to sense the overall shift in energy. Does she seem restless only around you? Does her body soften and open in your presence while staying reserved with others? That's your answer. Here's the real key, your response. If you get jumpy or too eager, you break the moment. If you stay calm, grounded and steady in your posture, shoulders back, relaxed voice, eyes steady, she feels safe enough to let that energy grow. Presence is what separates a man from a boy in these moments. Sign 2, charged humor. When a woman hasn't been close to a man in a long time, her humor often sharpens into something heavier than casual jokes. Her words carry innuendo, her laughter lingers, and suddenly what sounds playful feels like a test. She'll throw out a line that seems innocent but lands with weight. "I should probably find some company at night or I'll go crazy," said with a laugh, yes. But her eyes, they stay locked on you just long enough to make you wonder. Humor is her safety net. If you ignore it, she can brush it off as a silly joke. If you react too strongly, she can retreat and call you inappropriate. But if you catch it, if you acknowledge it without being crude, you pass her test. Men often fumble here. They either turn it into vulgar banter, killing all respect, or freeze like they didn't hear it. Both moves push her away. The right play is balance, smile, hold eye contact, maybe reply with something light like, "Careful, that sounded almost like an invitation." You keep the frame playful, but let her know you're not blind. And here's the psychology. When someone uses humor to touch on intimacy, it's rarely random. It's a probe, a signal wrapped in laughter. If she repeats it, if her jokes keep circling back to loneliness, late nights, or needing better company, she's not just being funny, she's opening the door. Your job isn't to barge in, it's to stand there with calm presence, letting her know you noticed without rushing. That tension, that slow recognition, is often more powerful than any slick line you could ever say. Sign 3, touch that lingers. Touch is the oldest language of desire, and when a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time, her body starts to seek it in subtle ways. You'll feel it in the way her hand brushes your arm when it doesn't need to, or in the hug that doesn't end on time. These touches are whispers, not shouts, but when repeated, they speak volumes. Take this story. Caroline, a single mom in her 40s, used to meet a man for coffee. At first, their interactions were polite, but slowly her hands started to land on his forearm during conversations. Then the hugs at goodbye grew warmer, a little longer, until one day she didn't let go right away. She wasn't consciously plotting it. Her body was remembering what closeness felt like, and it wanted more. Now, here's the mistake men make. They think every brush of contact is an invitation. Wrong. Some women are naturally touchy with everyone. The difference lies in consistency and focus. Is she touching only you? Does the touch repeat and linger? That's when it means something deeper. Your role is simple. Don't flinch away nervously and don't leap forward like a starving man. Hold steady. Let her test the waters. If she seeks more touch after you stay calm, you've confirmed her comfort. If not, you saved yourself from overstepping. Remember, her touches aren't just habits. They're her body's way of signaling she misses closeness. And if you respond with patience and presence, you become the man who makes her feel safe enough to keep reaching. Sign 4. Deep confessions. A woman who hasn't been with someone for a while often starts talking differently. At first, it's casual talk about movies or work, then it shifts. Suddenly, she's telling you about her past relationships, her loneliness, or how she can't even remember the last time she felt truly desired. These aren't random confessions. They're tests. She's handing you a piece of her vulnerability to see what you'll do with it. If you jump in with solutions, you ruin it. If you act like it's an invitation, you misread it. What she wants in that moment isn't fixing, it's presence. Psychologists explain that people reveal unmet needs through storytelling. For her, those confessions are her way of saying, I still crave closeness, I just don't know how to ask for it. Here's the correct response. Mirror, don't hijack. If she says, I can't remember the last time I felt comfortable with someone, you might reply, sounds like you miss that sense of safety. You're not solving anything. You're showing her you heard her. And that simple reflection builds trust faster than any speech. The man who can hold that kind of moment without rushing or exploiting it is the man she will trust with more. Her words are not just stories. They're clues to how much she's been missing intimacy and how deeply she's searching for it again. Sign 5. Subtle jealousy. Not all jealousy explodes. Sometimes it sneaks out in quiet ways. If you mention another woman in conversation, watch carefully. Does her smile freeze for a moment? Does she go silent or change the subject? Or maybe she makes a light joke, something like, wow, she must be lucky. But there's a sting hiding in her tone. That's subtle jealousy. This doesn't mean she's controlling or possessive. It means she's emotionally invested, maybe more than she admits. Especially if she hasn't been with a man in a long time. Her interest in you will feel fragile, and the thought of another woman can hit harder than she expected. One man told me about his colleague. They had weeks of playful banter. Then one day he mentioned grabbing coffee with a new co-worker. Her reaction was instant. Her smile tightened. She interrupted with a joke, but her energy dropped. That's what jealousy looks like when it whispers instead of screams. Here's the danger. Most men either fan the flames to test her or over-explain themselves like guilty boys. Both destroy attraction. The stronger move is to stay steady. Don't fuel it. Don't defend yourself. Instead, shift focus gently. You might say, what matters to me isn't how many women I meet, but who I can actually trust with my time. That line anchors you while showing her where your values lie. If she relaxes, you've just confirmed how invested she is. Quiet jealousy is her way of saying, I wish I was the one you gave that space to. Recognize it, respect it, and don't play games with it. Sign 6, creating private space. One of the strongest signs she hasn't had intimacy in a while is the way she creates private time with you. This isn't about the activity, it's about removing the crowd. She suggests you grab dinner, just the two of you, or insists on a walk away from the group. Privacy lowers her defenses, and she knows closeness only grows when the noise disappears. Take Caroline again. After weeks of meeting in public cafes, she finally invited the man to her place for dinner. Nothing fancy, just food, wine, and quiet. But the silence that followed after dinner told the real story. She didn't rush to fill it with chatter. That silence was charged. It was her way of letting the moment breathe, waiting to see what he would do. The mistake men make? Assuming alone time equals guaranteed intimacy. They rush in, killing the trust she was building. Alone time is not a contract, it's a possibility. The right approach is to honor it, relax, appreciate the privacy. Say something like, I like this. Feels easier when it's just us. That simple acknowledgement tells her you feel the shift without pushing it. If she leans closer, lingers in that silence, or extends the moment, you'll know the space was intentional. The man who can sit in that tension without rushing earns her deepest trust, because to her, the private space wasn't about the dinner, it was about opening the door. Sign 7. Endless flirting. Finally, the clearest giveaway, flirting that never ends. Some teasing is light-hearted, but when it becomes the backdrop of every conversation, it means more. She twists your words, challenges you playfully, and every chat seems to circle back to some kind of banter. It's not coincidence. It's her way of keeping the spark alive. Mike, an engineer, once shared his story. His co-worker constantly teased him. If he said he was tired, she'd shoot back. Or maybe you just need better company at night. Said with a laugh, yes, but her eyes told the real story. What sealed it for him was noticing she didn't treat anyone else this way. That's the difference. Flirting aimed only at you is not random. Here's the trap. Some men milk it forever, enjoying the attention without acting, while others rush in and blow it up too fast. Both kill the connection. The right way? Acknowledge the pattern. Maybe say, we always end up in this back and forth, don't we? That shows you noticed without breaking the playfulness. If you let it loop forever, she'll think you're too passive. If you escalate too fast, you look desperate. The balance is to slowly shift from teasing into something real. A calm line like, I like this energy between us, makes things interesting, moves the game forward without pressure. Constant flirting isn't random, it's a test. It's her way of saying, I'm here, but will you recognize it? Handle it with calm authority, and it becomes the bridge to something much deeper. So now you've seen the 7 signs, from the restless body language to the charged humor, the lingering touches, the deeper confessions, the subtle jealousy, the private invitations, and the endless flirting. But here's the truth, these are not guarantees. They're not items on a checklist. They're glimpses into her inner world. And this is where boys fail and men rise. Boys chase after single signals. Men recognize the patterns. Boys rush. Men hold their frame. The difference is patience, clarity, and presence. So if this video gave you something real, if it helped you see women differently, then subscribe to Olivia Rose, hit that like button, and drop this phrase in the comments, I value clarity. That tells me you're serious about growth, not just curiosity. And share this video with one man you know who always misses the signs. Sometimes one wake-up call is all it takes to change his direction.